knew the podcaster just pump and dumped his fans after being warned by me that this would happen.
In the world of hip-hop, it's not just the artists who grab the spotlight. Sometimes it's the media personalities who thrive off the drama, the beefs, and the chaos. Two names in particular have become synonymous with controversy: DJ Vlad and Adam22 of No Jumper. Both have built massive platforms, giving them unparalleled access to hip-hop culture. But what happens when the line between journalism and exploitation blurs? When the very people who claim to embrace hip-hop seem more intent on profiting from its chaos than respecting its culture? Let's break down the truth about these media figures and the dangerous game they're playing with rappers' lives. DJ Vlad, known for his no-holds-barred interviews, has been a fixture in hip-hop media for years. His VladTv platform is known for in-depth interviews with a range of figures: hip-hop stars, street legends, and controversial characters alike. On the surface, Vlad appears to be a gatekeeper of hip-hop culture, offering rappers a place to speak their truths. But a deeper look reveals a more troubling reality. Vlad's platform is built on shock value and sensationalism. He's known for asking questions that often push the boundaries of what's appropriate. And while some might call it good journalism, others see it as exploitative, using artists' personal stories for clicks and controversy. Then there's Adam22, the man behind No Jumper. With his laid-back style, Adam has become another key figure in hip-hop media, attracting a younger, more internet-savvy audience. Much like Vlad, Adam gives artists a platform, but his interviews often center around controversial topics like violence, drug use, and beefs. While both Vlad and Adam have done their fair share of interviews with some of rap's biggest stars, they've also been accused of creating situations that put these very stars in compromising positions. There's a growing narrative that both Vlad and Adam have contributed to the arrests of rappers. Their interviews often delve deep into the personal lives of their guests, touching on everything from street beefs to criminal activity. And while it's understandable that fans want to know the real stories behind the headlines, some believe that these interviews can be used as evidence in criminal cases. Take the case of Brick Baby, Adam22's former co-host. Recently, Brick Baby was arrested, and reports suggest that Adam has been avoiding his calls ever since. This adds another layer of complexity to Adam's image. He has built a platform around the stories of controversial figures, but when one of his own is caught up in legal issues, it raises uncomfortable questions. Did Adam know too much? Did he use this person for clout without a care for the consequences? Similarly, DJ Vlad has been linked to the arrests of several artists, including the infamous YFN Lucci case. By asking questions that seem to push for confessions or incriminate the artist, Vlad's interviews have become an open target for critics who believe that he's not just interviewing, but inciting trouble. This leads us to a deeper moral dilemma. Should we blame the media for asking hard-hitting questions, or should the artist be responsible for telling on themselves? After all, rappers are often praised for their authenticity, even if that authenticity means admitting to violent acts or criminal behavior. One example that stands out is the interview between Adam22 and rapper X4 about a shootout that allegedly took place. In this interview, X4 denies knowing anything about the incident, insisting that he wasn't involved.
This video that alleged that it was you involved in this crazy ass shootout. What was that situation? Maybe that might not have been you. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I don't think it was me.
Okay, but that wasn't related to any of the cases that you caught? Well played. Okay. So it's kind of hard to pick another question after that. Okay, more in a more general sense. Is it weird for you to have people kind of taking videos and images of you from the internet and just like telling stories about you on the internet and stuff? I'm sure we haven't even seen the true extent that we might of like documentaries and people just making videos about you. And is that a weird new thing for you to be dealing with?
Yeah, but crazy, bro, on the day of homies, and people just be sending me like, go look at this, go look at this. I mean, that should be like crazy, and I'd be looking at it. I'm like, that's funny, cuz. Yeah, that's crazy. Bar.
However, the interview itself raises an ethical question. Why are we rewarding rappers for glorifying violence in their lyrics, only to turn around and crucify them when their real-life actions reflect the same themes? When artists like X4 talk about shootouts and street life in their songs, they get praised for being authentic. But when they speak about these events in interviews, the media takes advantage of their words to push their own agendas. This is where the line between entertainment and ethics becomes dangerously blurred. Should media personalities like Adam22 be exploiting these moments for views and clicks? And what about the audience? Why do we continue to glorify artists who perpetuate violence only to condemn them when it spills over into their personal lives? This type of interview puts artists like X4 in an impossible position. By answering Adam's questions, they risk incriminating themselves. But if they refuse to answer, they risk looking like they have something to hide. As DJ Vlad and Adam22 continue to thrive in the hip-hop media space, the question remains, are they culture vultures? Both have embraced the culture, but there's a sense that they've exploited it for personal gain.
Similar content to you, reach out and embrace them when they're early in their journey, because, you know, there's just not a lot to be gained from conflict and having issues with people. But meanwhile, forming good relationships with people who are coming up in the space can help you out in the long run. And I think a lot of people, me, Ross, Ack, we all kind of look at you as kind of the godfather, because you really saw how a lot of this shit was going to play out in the long run.
They offer a platform to the artists they claim to love, but at the same time, they profit off of their darkest moments. By perpetuating the very violence they claim to report on, they seem to feed into the cycle of street culture while never truly contributing to it. It's easy to call them out for their exploitation, but at the same time, we can't let the artists completely off the hook either. They're the ones putting themselves in these compromising positions. They're the ones promoting violent narratives in their music, and in some cases living those narratives out, living those. But this brings us to the core question. Is the problem the artists, or is it the audience? As fans, we love the drama. We glorify the violence. We give these artists a platform, and then we get mad when they act out what they've been rapping about. It's a vicious cycle, and the media figures who profit from it are only giving us what we want. Are these media figures the problem, or are they simply giving the audience what they crave? Is it time to hold both media figures and artists accountable for perpetuating the same destructive cycle? Let's dive deeper into these questions and understand the broader consequences of the actions both sides are responsible for. When we talk about media's role in hip-hop, it's essential to remember that the stakes are high for everyone involved. In the world of hip-hop, where authenticity is everything, the artists who thrive often do so by sharing the raw, unfiltered truth of their lives, including street violence, criminality, and the hardships of living in underprivileged communities. But what happens when that authenticity becomes commodified, turned into a spectacle for mass consumption? This is where DJ Vlad and Adam22's platforms come into play. Their interviews are often framed around sensitive topics like gang violence, street beefs, and criminal activities. And in doing so, they've unintentionally or intentionally become part of the problem, perpetuating the glorification of street life for the sake of ratings and viral moments. The question is, at what point does media go from documenting to exploiting? Is it ethical for media figures to push their guests into uncomfortable territory?
Gunpoint. It happened as he streamed live on YouTube.
It was pretty much just pure shock.
Adam Grandmason, who hosts the weekly hip-hop podcast No Jumpers, says at first he thought the stick-up was a prank.
The hee-hee that I let out is just this bizarre, nervous reaction, I guess, because I just couldn't, at that moment, I couldn't imagine that this was seriously happening. It felt like it was a joke.
Forcing them to relive traumatic experiences that they might not want to discuss. We've seen it countless times. Rappers confessing to crimes, talking about street beefs that endanger their lives, and reliving personal tragedies for the entertainment of the masses. While it's easy to point to Vlad and Adam and blame them, We also need to acknowledge the role of the audience in this equation. If there was no demand for these types of stories, if fans weren't so hungry for drama, would media figures like them still thrive? We have to ask ourselves whether we as consumers are enabling the very cycle we now criticize. As much as we point fingers at Vlad and Adam, the reality is that artists also bear responsibility for the content they produce and the interviews they agree to participate in. Rappers are well aware of the power of the media. They know the consequences of discussing illegal activity, beefs, or gang affiliations in front of cameras. Yet time and time again, they step into these interviews, often glorifying street life or confessing to violent acts in exchange for attention and a platform. Take Tekashi 6ix9ine, for example. He made his career out of trolling, disrespecting other artists, and publicly flaunting his criminal lifestyle. While DJ Vlad and Adam 22 certainly played a role in amplifying 6ix9ine's antics, it's important to note that 6ix9ine himself welcomed this.
Were you aware of what you were getting into at the time you made Gummo, that first video, and you got involved with 9 Trey?
No, yeah. Well, listen, like I tell everyone, right?
I don't want what you tell everyone. I want the truth.
He used the media to create drama, to fuel beefs, and to make himself the center of attention. He knew that the more controversial he was, the more media outlets would flock to him. And guess what? It worked. It exploded his career. His interviews were everywhere.
I'm one of the biggest artists in the rap game, right? You go to new music, it's loading. You go all the way to the bottom, right? You see no Tekashi 6ix9ine.
Artists like 6ix9ine and X4 are not unaware of the consequences. They are often willing participants in this circus, but that doesn't mean they aren't victims of their environment. The media, after all, thrives on conflict, and artists can be forced to play the villain in a game they didn't necessarily sign up for, but the game still exists and they choose to participate in it. The real question is, should we demand more from artists in terms of responsibility for their actions and words, or should we hold the media more accountable for creating environments where these actions are encouraged for profit? The most frustrating part of this equation is the vicious cycle that exists between the media, the artists, and the audience. We, the audience, are just as guilty as anyone else. Every time we click on a viral video of a rapper getting into a heated interview, every time we share a meme of an artist getting caught in a scandal, we fuel the system. We reward the chaos, the drama, and the violence by giving it our attention. It's not just DJ Vlad and Adam 22 profiting from the drama. We are too. We can sit here and criticize them all we want. But the truth is, we crave the same chaos they're selling. We glorify the very elements of hip-hop culture that we later condemn when they spill over into real life. Every time we watch a video of a rapper caught up in some street beef, we play a part in this system. And that's the problem with the media. They're giving us exactly what we ask for. At this point, it's important to ask, where do we go from here? The future of hip-hop media is at a crossroad. We've seen media platforms grow into cultural juggernauts, feeding us content that thrives off conflict, drama, and controversy. But there's a way out of this cycle. Artists have the power to shape their own narratives. They can choose to turn away from violence, to rise above the negativity, and to demand that the media respect their authenticity without pushing them into dangerous or exploitative interviews. But that change won't come from the artists alone. As fans, we need to recognize our role in this cycle. We can choose to support positive media. We can choose to celebrate artists who promote something other than violence and street culture. We can choose to demand more from the media we consume, whether it's from DJ Vlad, Adam 22, or anyone else. We have the power to shift the narrative, but it all starts with us. So, should we continue to support media figures like DJ Vlad and Adam 22, who profit from the chaos while throwing artists under the bus? The answer isn't simple. It's clear that their platforms are powerful, and they have the ability to bring new voices into the mainstream. But at what cost? As for the artists, it's time for them to take more responsibility for the content they produce. They are part of the problem too. We can't keep glorifying violence in music and then act surprised when that violence spills into real life. Ultimately, the solution lies in shifting the culture. If we stop feeding into the chaos, the media will be forced to change. If we start supporting more positive, meaningful conversations, artists will follow suit. This is our culture, and it's up to us to shape it. Thank you for watching this in-depth exploration of the controversial roles played by DJ Vlad, Adam22, and the hip-hop media landscape. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to continue the conversation. Let's work together to build a culture that promotes respect, authenticity, and positive change.